Chapter 26: The Beautiful Fairy Tale from the Northern Regions. The fairy tale figure Espen Askeladd's path into the money vault. A first disclaimer of responsibility. All persons in this book are fictional. All statements, regardless of subject, are precisely that, statements. Some are rooted in empirical facts, while others are pure fantasy. My goal is to balance vision and reality, fiction and fact, in such a way that the audience can recognize themselves and continue to play with the swarm of ideas and notions. The book has no ambition to preach an overarching purpose, but rather questions accepted truths. In this way, in a Socratic manner, the rest is left to the audience. In the small, picturesque town of Grindelwald, located in southern Switzerland and surrounded by mighty mountains in the heart of Central Europe's Alpine Massif, lived the Burgmüller family. They lived in a kind of multi-generational residence, essentially a farmstead with several housing units tastefully scattered around the hilly mountain landscape. Grandfather Heinz had taught history and social studies at the town's secondary school for many years. He was regarded as a living encyclopedia. His weekly lectures on Friday evenings at Grindel House, the town's cultural center, were attended by the entire population, and people came from far and wide to follow his talks. Considering the time when this took place, around the turn of the century, circa 1900, the period before and after 1890 to 1910, one can imagine that information, as we today can obtain it from all over the world at the press of a key, was limited. Yes, limited in quantity, but not in quality. In those days, when historians recorded events, they were careful to ensure that the information had a high degree of truth value. It turned out that even then, things were added and subtracted to make narratives more interesting. But Father Heinz belonged to the more serious type of storyteller. He was keenly aware that people exaggerated. And he was well acquainted with all the myths and legends that flourished everywhere. In addition, Father Heinz possessed a rare gift, the ability to see into the future with great precision. In the near years ahead, within a span of 5 to 10 years, he was frighteningly accurate in his predictions. Thus, Father Heinz attained a kind of prophetic status. He was not interested in exploiting this gift, but rather wished to prepare the population for what was to come. He offered advice on simple, everyday matters. They always proved to be correct. His accuracy was widely known. He was often asked what would happen in 100 years. He had to admit that it was not easy to say anything with certainty, but he did see some broad lines. One early morning around 5 o'clock, he received a vision of a Nordic country he was convinced must be Norway. This poor country far to the north, with a meager population of about 2 million inhabitants by the standards of the time. But in this vision, Father Heinz saw more than 100 years into the future. He saw a country marinated in money and luxury. A people with a purchasing power that even the Swiss could only dream of. He saw a royal family that was very popular among the people. He saw a well-functioning democracy with socialist foundational pillars and a towering Labour Party in which fine virtues such as work, rights, and duty were deeply instilled. He saw strong social institutions where trust was a sacred word, and a parliament, the Storting, that enjoyed great trust among the people. He was in the middle of his Friday lecture about this clairvoyance in a packed Grindel house. In less than a nanosecond, he saw something terrible right in the middle of this glossy picture. He saw members of the royal family exposed in grotesque connections to an American network of obscenely wealthy pedophile criminals. He saw sexual abuse and drugs flowing everywhere. He saw the entire trust-based political class involved in the same filth. He saw a newly rich, over-satiated nation floundering in a sea of mud and dragging the entire people down with it. A nation in free fall and collapse. Those present in the hall could not believe their own ears, but they knew that Father Heinz's prophecies were usually precise. A nanosecond later, a strange, tall, Nordic-looking man appeared, with the odd name Burdenbrenid. He seemed to live in the small town of Davos. His face was rubbery, and he spoke artificial English. Suddenly, Father Heinz saw a host of finely dressed people who engaged in all kinds of wickedness. They were the coming rulers, the new elite.